So as I said, it's over 2 weeks into 2020, and it's very important, I think, to have your ducks in a row as far as money goes. So Darren Farwell of the Farwell Group is with us, and I'm looking forward to learning from you. So good morning, Darren.
Good morning, Marilyn. And of course, always wonderful to be here. Today I'm going to talk about a very special project. As you say, it's January, well, new decade on top of everything else. You know, January is such a wonderful month. I think of it like a fresh sheet of paper in front of you. And for Leslie and I, and our From a Woman's Perspective listeners, I feel like it's going to be a particularly special year. Because working together this year, we're literally going to fill the pages of this year, 2020, with words. We are going to be, Leslie and I, writing a book with the help of our From a Woman's Perspective listeners. Well, why? Let's go into that a little bit. When Jennifer came to meet Leslie and I in September of 2019, she was in transition. Her husband had died, not suddenly, but not suddenly or not. Jennifer was not prepared. I mean, who's prepared? But I can assure you, Jennifer was not prepared, according to her story. She wasn't prepared emotionally. She wasn't prepared from a planning perspective. And even in some ways, financially, she wasn't prepared. But Jennifer was not only in transition, having become a widow, she was struggling. She couldn't focus. She would get lost in thought. She cried a lot. She knew what she needed to do. She even wanted to do it, but simply couldn't even get the simplest things done. Through our training in the Certified Transition Specialist program, Leslie and I have learned to recognize this kind of transition struggle and help with some specialized tools and process, which we've done with Jennifer. But that's an aside. This is about Jennifer and the many, many women who will become widows and have to make investment and planning decisions without their partners. Our message to Jennifer and others is a clear one, and it's a message that was going to come out through our book. It's, you can do this. At your own pace, in your own way, of course. There's nothing unusual in how Jennifer is feeling. Losing a spouse is known to be one of the most difficult events in a person's life. It's normal to feel confused, overwhelmed, frozen. Jennifer said to us over and over that she felt alone. There was no one she could trust by her side, and she couldn't find a good place to get started on how to figure all of that out. Leslie and I were so moved by her story and moved to do something about it. So in 2020, we're beginning with Jennifer's story and this From a Woman's Perspective show. Leslie and I are beginning on a book. The book will be made up of real stories with real people. We hope, our intention, is that this book will include stories, feedback, and suggestions from our From a Woman's Perspective listeners. How can we help widows? Importantly, how can we help them gain the confidence? Research indicates that only 32% of women interviewed feel confident in making investment and financial planning decisions. Yet we know at the same time for a fact that women can do it and do it very well, but a lack of confidence can get in the way of making good decisions. Each From a Woman's Perspective segment that we do through the year this year will provide the framework for our book, this tool for widows. And we value, as our listeners, we value your opinion. We value your input. Please visit our website, plansingle.ca, for our weekly blog based on our discussions here on Saturday morning. I'll be kicking it off next week and the week after with stories about, the advice and opinions widows often receive from all sorts of different sources. I remember a saying my grandmother used to say, opinions are like rear ends, and that's as close as she ever got to swearing. Her opinions are like rear ends. Everybody's got one. But how do you evaluate the advice you receive from friends and relatives and your hairdresser and the taxi driver? How do you decline advice without seeming rude? What about bad advice from professionals? That will be week 2. It's a new year. We're going to create something together to help widows. Please feel free to visit plansingle.ca. Be part of this new community. Share your insights, and we'll see you next week to get started.
Well, you're going to enhance my library at the store. We have Dr. Brown's book. We have the Bank on Yourself book by Leslie. In fact, several books, and they're all signed copies. So I love to see you grow, and I look forward to having those books in my store and in my library. So thank you, Darren. And if someone wants to talk to you about their finances, obviously you're still doing investment advice, and you have a whole team that will do that. How do we reach you?
You could call 416-863-7501. Because one of the things that we say over and over this show, Marilyn, I think you said it, it's never too early, never too late to get a plan, and a plan is always the right place to start. So if anybody'd like to talk about getting a plan done, feel free to call.
And I think you mentioned that the worst plan is no plan at all.
Absolutely.
So it's good advice that you'll get. It doesn't cost you anything to see what someone feels is right for you and to help you assess where you are so you can move forward. You can protect your future and move forward. So if 2020 is your year to move forward with your financial plan, then give Darren Farwell and the Farwell Group a chance to talk to you and review your portfolio. 416-863-7501. And if you want to participate in this new book, it's a project people say that if you tell people what you're going to do, then you really do it. So we'll see the book evolve, and I'll look forward to having hard copies on my desk in 12 months. So thank you, Darren.
You're welcome.